It's the Real Estate Radio Show featuring Chris Lofthus of the Chris Lofthus Group at Keller Williams Realty, Boise. Along with Chris, who's the star of the show, Dennis Schaffner of Schaffner Fine Homes is our guest today, and hitting on a lot of elements of how much building you're doing. Dennis, I hope it's okay if I ask you this more for fun. What's the coolest feature in your mind that you've built in a house where you go, Dave, I did this, and it was one of those, or a couple of them that have jumped out that you said, this was pretty neat thing I put in a home?
Oh, gosh, there have been so many of them over the years, and it might sound funny to you, but probably one of the more fun things we did is we did a dog shower.
A dog shower?
A dog shower.
Wow. No, I think that's so. Obviously, they were pet lovers or the veterinarian?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And we were building in the foothills, and so they were always out in the foothills with their dogs, and they bring them in there, always a mess. So we build a shower for them, and they take them in the garage. They shower them. It was just like a miniature shower, and it was great. Yeah. So that was kind of a fun one.
But you know the thing too, Dennis, is discuss this a little bit. The products that he used, like the Pareto homes, we've talked about the products, like the kitchen counters. I don't remember it was glass. I believe you said it was glass.
Yeah, we used a product called Ice Stone, which is a combination of Portland cement and recycled glass. It comes out of Seattle, proportionally more expensive than granite, but a really unique product. Has a lot of depth to it, a lot of character, a lot of dimension, which is kind of nice. And I certainly don't credit myself with that selection. That was my wife that found that product.
It was incredible, though. You can tell, and we talk about when Dennis does stuff, and that's kind of the neat thing about Dennis when you talk about, when, like you and Claudia sit down and talk to him. He'll take you over to the you can go to the supply house with him, and you can get everything from your kitchen faucet picked out to the granite counters to your bathtub. And so, a lot of guys don't do that. A lot of builders, like Dennis said, he mentioned his wife. When you talk about Jerry, who works for me, both of them have a great eye. And so when you start picking that out, you can really start to kind of see what you're really going to get with Dennis.
Well, it must be special because Annette, who produces the show and keeps Chris in line, Annette, I just heard you say it was gorgeous. So, yeah, it was incredible. Now, things I noticed is when I walked into one of your homes, the elegance. But I still like, as a man's man, it was still that elegant strength to it. High ceilings, large doors, elements like that. Is that a fair assessment? I know you'll build a house any way you want, but when you walked in there, you went, wow, now this is a home.
Well, I think it was reaffirmation of what we were trying to say with the home. Modern but not sterile, and it had a warmth to it and a charm which doesn't typically belie modern construction or modern design. And that's due in total to my wife Terry, who did all the colors. She does all tailored colors. So if you ask what color is that, she takes it off of about 20 palettes that they make up for her, and she'll decide how they work. And she melds them all together from outside to inside. Wow. So that when you're outside, the colors bring you in, and that same theme is carried on throughout the home.
Well, I think a lot of it too, Dennis, is when you're dealing with Schaffner homes, it's truly custom. And that's what people don't understand when they're out driving around and they're looking at different builders and different subdivisions. But it's truly custom from the design all the way through to putting the roof on.
Yeah, it's a one-off house.
Yeah, and something else we talked about the break. We talked about discussed about builder confidence. That's at a 5-year high, and I want Dennis to touch base on a little bit about this. He showed me this article here we chatted about, but 8 reasons it's time to buy a house, and touch a little bit on that, Dennis, because I thought it was really interesting when he started talking about builder confidence, and you start talking about consumer confidence as well. And so that you get both of those going in the right direction. We could see some really cool stuff happening.
Well, that's exactly right. Builder confidence right now is at a 5-year high. And for the month of July, builder confidence shot up. It's an index they use, shot up 6 points to about 44. Now, when you get to 50 is when builders have turned the corner and they feel confident in what's going on. So that's a big movement in the month of July. So I think that speaks well to what's going on nationally. And there are still pockets where it's not as busy, but they're becoming less and less. And we're starting to see, like I said, in the surrounding states, when they start to pick up, it just bodes well for us. Housing prices are on the rise. Boise, again, was number 3 on a list for year-over-year increases from July 11 to July 12 of 16.8%. So things are moving. and people need to see that at some point we can't maintain this price point. There's a lot of pressure still out there coming from the supply line because there's not the product selection that there was. The market will catch up, but it's going to take time to do that.
Dennis, one of the first questions I would suggest, and you're the expert on this, but if you're looking for a builder, the very simple question: are you a registered master builder here in the state of Iowa? I mean, it's okay for me to ask, and they should be able to perform that. Or I shouldn't say perform it, but here's my certificate, or how would that go?
Absolutely. In our parade, we had a lot of material that you get from the Registered Master Builder program to show people what the difference is, why you're a Registered Master Builder versus those that aren't. And part of the move to stay away from the program is because they don't want the scrutiny, or they can't stand the scrutiny. A lot of guys have been through some tough times. And as a board, we understand that. And we aren't just so black and white, because anybody can get in a circumstance, but as long as they have a rational reason and an explanation that we can buy, we'll still work with folks on the program. So we're not so hard nosed that we don't just take a look at everybody's circumstance. So you have the opportunity.
All right, Chris, our last couple of minutes, I just want to ask you real quick, in the real estate world that you live in, you eat, breathe 24/7, 365. What's hot, what's not? Anything you want to touch on as far as maybe a property you have or an area, or to tell somebody that's sitting on the sidelines, time to get in the game?
Well, I think you're exactly right. That's kind of what I want to touch on. We talk about the seller and the buyer and kind of the standoff that's going on. We're seeing a shift. I mean, Jerry is one of our client specialists. She is so busy writing contracts. She showed property all last night. The night before, she's writing contracts. I think she wrote 3 or 4 or 5 contracts in the last week. So they're getting accepted. So the buyers are starting to become more realistic because the sellers just are not bending on their number. It's just, I'm getting the feeling. Well, you look at all the stuff turnaround, and Dennis and I were talking about, when you start talking about the turnaround, all the numbers show that Boise's back on the market. We're on a run. So my thing is it necessarily going to go crazy again? No, but for the most part, I look at it and look at Dennis's world and new construction. You watch all these numbers and you watch these national numbers and where we sit, with all these other cities, we're on the radar and people are moving here, which is going to drive that price up or at least sustain it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in essence, what do you attribute that to? Because, last week we talked about, school had started. Now this weekend, Labor Day weekend. But why is Jerry right now just crazy? Besides the fact you're one of the best realtors in the Valley.
Yeah. Fourth quarter always does great. But you're exactly right. I think a lot of it is attributed to a lot of these people have been sitting.
Okay.
In June, July, even August, for the most part, up to the 15th, 16th, was pretty quiet. And so when you look at that, and all of a sudden you get people that say, you know what, I want to buy a house, I want to build a house, and you start looking at the numbers, or lot prices for Dennis and Dennis's world, you look at lot prices, which affects the bottom line number of the house, and so you start looking at that, and I think people are going, you know what, these people that have the product on the market, whether it's a lot or houses, are just not bending on their price. And we're seeing it. I'm dealing with every day with our listings. They're not bending, and they said, well, wait, we keep showing them the numbers too, and the numbers are there.
Yeah, well, good stuff. Well, Dennis, before we let you go, as always, we appreciate you coming on the show, talking about your product. Tell folks how they get a hold of you one more time. Go ahead and fire out either your number or the office number, whatever you want to do, and your website.
Okay. My office number is 853-0052. My cell, 866-3446. It's Dennis at SchaffnerHomes.com and SchaffnerSignatureHomes.com for the website.
All right. And again, that office number, 853-0052. And Chris, go ahead and let folks know how to track you down today as well.
Yeah, you can reach out to me, 514-5003, or always email me, chris@clgeagle.com.
All right. Now, we always want to thank Annette. Her work just begins now because she posts the show on the website. You guys have your own YouTube channel. As we always say, go to Chris Lofthus and like us on Facebook, which, as hard as it was for me, I went and I liked you, Chris. So there's a lot of good information, though. I mean, and the videos and how you can look at the homes. And I think if I were to recommend you to someone, which I do, just the response, I'm so used to in the business coaching world, I'll tell somebody, hey, you need to get right back to them. Jerry's working on boom, the next day, here it is. If you want to look at it online, you want to email, however it is. So these guys will get back to you. If they tell you they're going to do something, they will do it. It's chrislofthus.com, CHRISLOFTHUS. Chris, I'm going to have a relaxing weekend. I know you got to work. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
All right, Dennis, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Chris,
Dave.
Another great show. Chris Lofthus of the Chris Lofthus Group at Keller Williams Realty in Boise. You have a great 3-day weekend.